You are welcome once again to Evangelist Nima Kalu TV, Treasury of Excellent Knowledge. I am your serviceable servant, Evangelist Nima Kalu. I want to teach on becoming an author. Becoming an author. So I want to take us on a lecture, and it is a kind of a webinar, or call it seminar, on becoming an author. So this video I will place into my private room for my private subscribers, and I will be using the same video in the future for seminars. So it may happen that when I will want to educate some people, I will no longer begin from scratch. I will just pull off this video, then to give to them to listen. Then I will come to summarize and have the interactive section with my mentees in the near future, in the near and the far future. So videos like this are very, very important. Though everybody may not be interested in this video because everybody may not have the intention of becoming an author, but those that it really concerns. So some people might have the knowledge already, but it is mainly for those who are beginners, who dream to be authors, because there are a lot of talented people. There are a lot of people with the ability to speak well, to write well, and they have a in-depth knowledge in a particular area, structured and in-depth knowledge in a particular field of study. As such, may be dreaming on how they should be documenting their knowledge, that is their educational contents, documenting them and turning them into books, but they may not be sure of whether they are able. They know they have what it takes to do it, but they are not sure. They don't know how to start. They don't know the processes. They don't know the steps to take, and they don't know how to bring it into reality. So there are people who also have begun. Like as I speak, I know of few pastors and some other people who are potential authors. Some of them are surprised how I have gone this far to have written and published 5 books in Amazon. Not only that, as I speak, I have 7 books completely written, ready to be delivered to Prime 7 Media, who are my publishers, the team of Prime 7 Media, to deliver it to them in the US, where they will do the final editorial work. Then after the final editorial work, they will format the books and they will publish them. The only thing holding me to do that is money. I don't have the money now. So to publish one book cost me between 2,000 euros, because when I want to publish, I will publish on electronic copy, on a soft copy, I mean paper copy. Inside of the paper copy, we have what we call soft copy, the one with soft cover. It is called soft cover or soft copy. Then we have hard copy, the one with thick cover. So depending on the buyers, anyone they prefer. Then some people may not have the time for the paper copies. They will just download any of the book electronically. That is ebook. So the 3 versions, each of the version cost me between 500 and 600 each. And each of my books is being registered in American Library of Congress. So to register one book there cost me around 300 to 400 euros, depending on the volume. So that is how it happened. So actually around 2,000 euros published one book for me. Maybe at times Prime 7 Media may want to give give me a discount. That is how I get reduction. So I, when I start my work again, as soon as I begin to get money, I begin to make the move. However, if anybody voluntarily or some people voluntarily choose to support me in any way, so that I'll be making them quicker, and God will take control, and God will not leave such people unrewarded. So here we go. Here we go. Becoming an author. 7 steps to become 7 steps to becoming an author. That is that is the topic of this lesson. So I have with me 7 steps, and these 7 steps are so pivotal, which anyone who will become an author should take. Should take. Then, what are the requirements as personal requirements, apart from the steps I'm going to educate us on? Personal requirement is, first of all, the person will begin to develop in knowledge, acquiring knowledge, becoming competent in knowledge, becoming competent in writing, becoming competent in speaking. All these things are too important. Also, the person must build confidence. Other factors follow. These are the basic things that the person must possess. I mean the person, not to talk of the external requirements to becoming an author. Then I want to read some Bible quotations in regard to this. Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 2. I am reading from ESV, English Standard Version. Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 2. He said, "And the Lord answered me, write the vision, make it plain on tablets, so he may run who reads it. So he may run who reads it." I repeat, Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 2. "And the Lord answered me, write the vision, make it plain on tablet, so he may run who reads it." Write the vision. Write the vision. The vision, this is the prophecy God had given to prophet Habakkuk. God said to him, write it down so that he may run, so that the person, anybody, the generation, the prophet who had this encounter, who received this message, had written it down. And that is the reason you and I can have access to it. That is the reason you and I can have access to this prophecy, to this message, writing it down, documentation. So, an author is someone who documents his or her knowledge. Someone who documents his or her knowledge, especially putting them into books. Documentation. That is who documents, who engineer, organizing them in readable forms, in educational forms, how they will make sense and become easy to comprehend, putting them in writing, turning them into books or videos or whatsoever. That is an author. An author is someone who can develop ideologies, relating to a particular line of event, a particular line of life, a particular line of vision or whatsoever. Then developing the ideology, explaining the ideology. It is all about putting the explanation, the analysis into writing and turning them into books. But this is prophecy. The Bible you read, the Bible that I read, they are all products of authorship. They are all products of authorship. Then, Romans chapter 15 verse 4. "For whatever was written in former days was written for our instruction, that through endurance and through the encouragement of the scripture we might have hope. We might have hope. So they were written for purposes. They were written for education. They were written for mentorship. I'm just building the preamble before I will go directly into that 7 steps to explain them, to highlight on them. Proverbs chapter 3 verse 3 to 4. Let not steadfast love and faithfulness forsake you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Write them on the tablet of your heart. On the center of your heart. Write them. Carry them inside of you. So that is, have it as knowledge. Compile them inside of your mind. Compile them inside of your mind. So one of the things that will make, and it is a major thing that will make someone or some people never to become an author, is when they don't have structured knowledge about a particular thing, or about one or two or different things, when they don't have structured and the competent knowledge, because what the person will be writing is what the person knows. If the person writes ignorance, the person may be fooling himself. So it is about what you know, and this person should study and acquire knowledge, having knowledge inside of him, and begin to bring them out, putting them into writing and be turning them into books. So you will find favor and good success in the sight of God and the man. Say, write them, bind them around your neck, write them on the tablet of your heart, so that it will serve the purpose. Write them, always read and remember and follow the instruction, follow the principles. So writing is all about providing instruction, providing principles, providing ideas, providing directions, so the readers will read and understand. When they read, they understand, and they apply it, and it works for them, just like the author also know and apply for himself. And the reason of write it is that, so that the knowledge will not remain with you alone. If I have not written the books that I have written, the whole of the knowledge that I have put into this book will remain with me alone. It will not, they will not go viral. And a time will come when the knowledge will become a burden to me, because I will be adding and be adding and be adding. And a time will come when I will begin to forget all them little by little. And there will never be a time I will pay attention to analyze a particular line of knowledge into details the way I have put them into books. Because writing will make you to analyze deeply. It leads into expansion, expanding the analysis far more than when it is a seminar. For example, if I want to hold a seminar can take me 1 hour. As I speak, this video is already 14 minutes since I have begun to lay the preamble. It is already 14 minutes, just under one lesson. And I'm trying to see how possible I will make it a 1 hour or 1 hour 30 minutes video. It is just on a particular lesson. And if I have to write a book regarding in relation to how to become an author will just form one chapter. Then to become another thing, if I want to teach on that, will become another chapter. If I have to raise 10 topics on how to become different things, or raise 15 topics on how to become different things, as far as I have the knowledge, I will educate on them, each of them forming one chapter. One chapter times 10 can form a book. One chapter each on different topics times 15 can form a book, times 20 topics can form a book. What makes the difference is the rate of the volume of that book. I think with this preamble now, you have gotten the basic understanding of becoming an author. Now let us go into the 7 steps. The 7 steps. The first one is understanding the purpose. What is the purpose of your writing? Some people will just begin to admire authors, just like whether me, maybe some of my mentees, or some people who knew me in the past. When they come across my videos now, or they speak with me, and how they come to know what I have become now, and especially I have become an author, some people will begin to admire me, and they will begin to want to be like me, but they may not know how. Some of them will not know the direction. Purpose is the first step. When purpose is misunderstood, abuse is inevitable. Anybody who wants to become an author, or any other business anybody is doing, or anybody who wants to become anything at all, when the person does not understand the purpose of what he is going to do or she is going to do, the person can never do it well. The person will miss direction. So understanding the purpose. Why are you writing? Why are you writing? I'm coming. Yeah, so I went to bring each of the copies of my books. Why are you writing? So I want to explain on that purpose. It requires this explanation. For example, this is understanding and executing righteousness. Why did I write this book? When I came to Europe new, I began to observe that Christianity in Europe is totally different in different perspective, different quality, compromises everywhere from what I used to know Christianity is and what Christianity really is. Nobody cares, even the pastors. I came to Europe to understand that both the Africans and many other people in Europe, they just run Christianity as business, as a means of hustling, then some for ceremony, some as a convention, because this is what they have been practiced, both the Africans, other foreigners, and the indigenous Europeans. So I came to understand that people have really lost the direction, the purpose of Christianity. And here in Europe, when you want to talk about righteousness, people will want to shut you up. Because the question of many, most especially Africans, is that what you come to Europe to do, to preach the gospel, or do you come to find money? So people are not interested in observing righteousness. Even it is a no-go area in the churches in Europe. But that should not help us. I then, with time, I came to begin to study, and from revelations God had been giving me through dream, through trance, and many other ways, I came to understand that it is not limited to Europe. That was the quality of Christianity going on all over the world, in Nigeria, other parts of Africa, everywhere in the world as we know it. So I came to understand that people have lost the concepts and the understanding of righteousness. So there should be a revival education on the issue of having the right concepts and understanding of righteousness. And at this point, there was a dominant trending of once saved is forever saved, which is a deception, a means of watering down the quality of Christianity to appeasing the people and keeping on exploiting them by all those bandits, pulpit bandits. So that is when God gave me the title. I should go and teach them to understanding and executing righteousness, to having the right concept, to having the appropriate understanding, and to putting them into practice. That is when God gave me the title. I wrote this book. This book had been just newly actually been published in January this year. And this is my master textbook. I'm talking about purpose. January this year. But the topic came into my mind since 2015. Since 2015. I began to write on this topic in 2022. But due to my time investment in the Biafra activism, so I could not concentrate. But from the middle of 2024, that is when I began to concentrate, and I was so devoted with all of the spare time and as I had. And I since between that 2024 till at least I have spent 2 summers for 4 months each year without working and fully dedicated to writing. So this is how this book had been written. So understanding and executing righteousness. You see the purpose. The purpose of writing forms the topic. The purpose. What is the purpose of this book? It is not just about writing. What is the purpose of that? What is this book going to serve? What is it going to teach? That is the purpose. But when I'm talking about purpose, I'm talking about aligning the purpose to the will of God. Many people had begun to controvert whether the prophecy of Jesus Christ about the end time and the before the rapture or through the rapture, whether it is real, because they have been hearing about it. Some of them had been hearing about the same message for over 30 years, thinking that Jesus Christ could come anytime soon from the time the message was being given to them in the first time. And they waited for 3 years, for 5 years, nothing was happening about Jesus' return. They began to think that it can never really be true. So some people who have left Christianity begin to hang on this topic. So this is one of the things that made them to leave Christianity, leave the church, because what we prophesy are not true. So that has formed another topic. The Olivet Prophecy, Matthew 24. These books explain it. It's far smaller than this. It is because this book is focused only on chapter 24 of the book of Matthew. Only on chapter 24 of the book of Matthew. If you watch that book of Matthew in the Bible with this size, it may be only 3 or 4 pages, but I explain all of the chapter in details, and it has formed this book, which has now 110 pages, well explained, completely explained, the Olivet Prophecy. So why do I explain it? Jesus said there are events that will take place one after the other, and when those events will complete, then he will come. And he said when he will come, he will not announce that date. Some people had expected him to come 3 years ago, while they forget about the event Jesus Christ prophesied about that will be heralding the rapture. So this is what makes us different as ministers. It is the event that will be indicating, be piling up. Indicate the event is the announcer of the stage of the prophecy. Up till now, those events have not been completed. Jesus declared the prophecy. Nobody asked him how long will it take to accomplish, and this prophecy has lasted for over 2,000 years. Do you see where people miss it from understand? They don't ask God how, when. This is a very good question from Virgin Mary. When an angel told her that she will get pregnant even as a virgin, asking how? How possible can that? It asks question. How? I'm a virgin. I don't know a man, and I'm not interested to know a man. How can you tell me I'll get? Because she could not understand. She asked question, and it was explained to her. So that is not the topic. So that I will not be digressing and making the video longer. So that formed the topic. That topic, the Olivet prophecy, Matthew 24. The purpose, I'm talking about purpose. It is the same purpose, lost and, and their problems. How lost had been devastating humanity. Lost, L-U-S-T, but in a plural form, lost and their problems. Different kinds of lost and the problems they bring to humanity and those who are subject to lusting, the problems degenerate. So that forms the topic. People have been suffering about this, and then all they know is that they have problem, they're into trouble, but they don't know the source of their trouble. While I know, because I've been studying the Bible, and with sincere mind, God had been revealing me, directing me. When I'm studying the Bible, I see what other people do not see, because I have covenanted with God to be reading it with sincere mind. So I came to discover that it is all these things are in the Bible. The reason is that the majority of humanity are hypocritical. The majority of humanity are not realistic. They don't want to face the reality. But that is the reality. Lust and their problem. It is lust that made Adam and Eve to eat the prohibited fruit, and their problem started. I'm not teaching about lust and their problem, I'm just teaching us about purpose. So the purpose will provide the topic. The purpose of this is addressing about lusts. Then how lust manifests, what kinds of lust and the problems they bring. Living a contented life. This is a complementary book to lust and their problems. If you read the two together, so problem discovered is a problem half solved. A problem discovered is a problem half solved. Then the solution. What is the solution? Some people may ask, what is the solution? I will not just give a 30 minutes lecture on the solution. Buy this book. If I have to give 30 minutes lecture one-on-one, I may tell the person one-on-one, you pay me 500 euros, you pay me 1,000 euros, you pay me any money I decide to charge, because it is worth more than that. But when you buy this book, it is far more cheaper. It is far more cheaper. Most things I have explained in this book is not something I can even explain with 10 hours. It didn't take me 10 hours. It took me months to write this book, but you have all of the information just here. You see the purpose, the solution. Now you have known lost and their problem. The solution, you will come to living a contented life. Living a contented life. So it is not about people, somebody buy one copy that I cover my money and all of my expenses to writing the books. It is about how many people continue to buy. People continue to buy. For example, even if I have a shop now, for example, I have a shop here and I print 1,000 copies and finish the 1,000 copies. Even if it is in 1 month, even if it's in 2 months or in 3 months, I have written it, I will go and print another one and bring. So as time goes on, I'll continue to make my money, I cover my expenses and begin to build on profit. And in that profit, based on whom I am, the covenant I am into, it is about still investing in the kingdom of God and be benefiting also from the investment of the kingdom of God. Polygamy and its problems. This is Polygamy and its problems. This is my 5th book. Polygamy and its problems. A man marrying more than wives. You can see the man. Would I call him a gentleman who had made a kind of a mistake? Because there is always a mistake in polygamy. So polygamy is a product of mistake. In Africa, in Igbo land, They will claim, many people brag about it. There is no problem. It is our father's culture. It is African tradition. All of those things. I didn't. I don't doubt it is about the traditionalism regarding to polygamy or whatever. What I'm talking about is the problems of polygamy. Because some people will talk about the benefit and forget about the problems of polygamy. If you want to know them, you have to read this book. So, the purpose has finished. This will be the longest among the seven. Then, second, developing personal vision. You must have your vision. You have, what is vision? Vision is future in imagination. The future in imagination. You have to imagine. You have to think. You must have your personal vision. What is the future of what you are writing? Is what you want to write has any future? What is the future? What is the future plan for it? Like, if anybody asks me the same question, what is the future plan? In the future, let me say in the next 5 years, if I have to open a church, I will begin to educate people. Many things I will be teaching people are already placed in my book. That is to start with. What is the future? My vision is that every Christian minister, every worker in the church should have at least one copy of my book, each of them. Another vision is that every family, not only Christians, because everything I write is about human capital development in righteousness. Every family should have this book. Every parent should have this book, read this book, know what is in this book, and use what they know from this book to be educating their own children. Do you see my vision? I will not continue to explain. Then, three, knowing the line of content. Knowing the line of content. All these things I've made mention. Understanding and executing righteousness is the line of content. Then, a line of content. Then, a topic. Also, for example, I am not an engineer. I cannot write a book on engineering because I don't have the capacity. I am not well educated in any field of engineering, whether as a petrochemical engineering, pharmaceutical engineering, or medical science, whatever it is. Is it civil engineering? Is it mechanical engineering? Whatever engineering, I am not trained on that area. So I cannot write any book on engineering. Yet engineering is a line of content. Somebody who is well knowledgeable in any field of engineering can be an author in the field of engineering. So that is what I mean by line of content. There are people who teach languages, English language, Igbo language, all of those people can become authors in their line of contents. So you must have competent knowledge or adequate knowledge. Then you have your line of contents, whatever you want to write about. Even if you are a professional cook or you have gone through, food and nutrition, whatever, you can also be writing books on food and nutrition, whatever, because you are erudite on that field. That is become your line of content. Like, I am an evangelical author. So when it comes to theology, I am deeply knowledgeable, competently, if I may say, even excellently knowledgeable in theology. So my line of content is theology. Everything I write in this book has to relate from the Bible, and from the Bible I'm bringing it into the physical reality, how they relate to human daily life. So theology, it is because It is education originating from God. The word theology means divinely, godly, coming from God, theo, God, Dios in Spanish. So other people have their names for it. So my line of content, my line of content is theology, and in that theology I can bring it to evangelism. Evangelism is about the gospel. What I read here is theology, evangelism, the gospel, explaining the gospel in different ways. So that is my line of content. Anybody who should become an author should have his line of content. Why am I explaining this way? Because some people cannot become author because they have they have a shattered or scattered knowledge. They know a little of this, they know a little of that, and they don't concentrate. They cannot just be competent to educating people in a particular line of education. So anyone who must become an author must pick. If the person had no competent knowledge in a particular line of content, the person should choose his or her line of content and begin to dig deep. Then if I may help you, it can be what you have studied already in the school. So that has become a leverage. It's already an advantage to you. Then you begin to go back to studying. If it costs you paying professional educators, lecturers, they will be paying them and they'll be educating you. Begin to refresh your memory. You begin to come back and they pick up, and also you continue to develop on a particular line, most especially the line you have studied in the school, because that is what you really know more than any other thing. That will give you quicker development to becoming the author. Then the fourth one, being adequate in the writing language. Being adequate in the writing language. My writing language is English, so I have to be adequate in English. Though even as I speak, you'll be pointing out little mistakes I make. But if I have to put all of these things I've been speaking here in writing, I have to edit. I have to edit them again. Then from when I will be editing them, I will be spotting those mistakes I have made. If I have to just record them and turn them, like for example, after making this video, I may want to put them into writing, or I may just give the video to someone, say, write what is the content of this video for me. Write them verbatim. Everything I said, exactly the way I have said them. Don't add, don't remove anything. The person will write it. Then I will come and review them, spot the mistakes, then remove the mistake and correct my incorrect sentences. But however, what I have been explaining in this video is comprehensible to anybody who understands English well, despite of my common mistakes. So that is the reason we have editorial processes, and that is the reason we also pay some other people. After my own writing, Prime 7 Media will also have their own editorial processes before it will be published. All those things include in what I pay them for. I don't pay them differently. So it is inclusive in the money I pay them for publishing. Then your writing language. Your writing language may be Igbo, it may be Hausa, it may be Yoruba, it may be Spanish. Your writing language can be French. Your writing language. So you must have a language where you are fluent, or maybe you have chosen a language you want to be writing on. That means you have to go back. If you are not fluent in that language and begin to study the language, it will be able. Then you are being adequate in the writing language. Then having the fifth one, having adequate knowledge of the line of content. The line of content you must have adequate knowledge in it. You must have adequate knowledge in the line of content. I have adequate knowledge in theology. So the evangelism is the manifestation of the theology, the manifestation, the practical manifestation, telling people about Jesus Christ, all those things, they are the manifestation. Then the theology is the studies about God, from God and about God, how God relates to people, how people relate to God. But it is all about God, because God engineered the whole thing. God is the pioneer. So I am adequately knowledgeable in my line of content, which is theology, evangelism, the gospel. The sixth one, setting the goals. You must set the goals. After all these things, when you will begin to write, you have taken your topic, then you have created your vision, you have known the content of your knowledge, you have also been adequate in the writing language, you have also been adequate in the line of content. Now you have to set the goals. How are you, will you be writing? Sometimes some people will not start because they will begin to imagine, how can somebody write a book and finish it? Can it happen a day? Can it happen, and how? This and that. So some people get confused, they will not start. So you must start from somewhere. You set the goals. You set the goals. Setting the goals, it is in the setting the goals you will begin to form the chapters, the topics that will form the chapters, the topics that will form the chapters. Then that is the setting of the goals, the topics that will form the chapters. Then when you finish with the topics of that will form the chapter, there is what we call subsections. Under the chapter, under each of the chapter, there are sections. Eh? There are sections. Then let me highlight us on this. Let me use my master textbook. Like, the topic of the book is understanding and executing righteousness. Then I begin to search on righteousness. That is setting the goal. When I began to have my Bible research, and I read few books. I read few books on understanding and executing righteousness. I read few books on understanding and executing righteousness. Now, setting the goals. This is table of contents. Table of contents. Setting the goals. Table of contents. What will be the content? Setting the goals. Then this book is 40 chapters, so I will not continue to mention them one by one. But under the chapter, I started with sexual chastity versus sexual immorality. That has been the chapter. Then under sexual chastity versus sexual perfection, yes, chapter 1. Under it, I have section 1, fornication and adultery. Then section 2, sexual abuses. Section 3, incest, God's justification or God's condemnation. Incest, does God condemn it or does God justify it? Section 4, bestiality, human being having sex with animals. Then incest is about two relatives having sex among themselves. Section 5, homosexuality. Homosexuality. Then in chapter 2, true humility versus false humility. That from chapter 2. Then the subsections under chapter 2. Section 1, complying to God versus complying to ungodly wisdoms. Complying to godly wisdom versus complying to ungodly wisdom. Section 2, teachability versus scornfulness. Section 3, under chapter 2, complying to true parenting or false parenting. So it has 4 sections. So that is how it goes. Each of the chapter has its section. First of all, I pick what are from these two topics now. I have made mention of at least what should form the chapter. Okay, let me expatiate, but I'll run it down. Like for example, here, chapter one, sexual chastity versus sexual perversion, and that is in understanding and executing righteousness. Chapter two, true humility versus false humility. True humility is the righteousness, false humility is a sin. Then I compare and contrast so that it will be outrightly understandable. Chapter 3, living in godly wisdom versus living in ungodly wisdom. The godly wisdom is the living in godly wisdom is the righteousness there. The other one is the contrary. Then on chapter 4, prudence versus imprudence. Somebody can understand and execute righteousness based on what he knows, based on being being intelligent, being intelligent and godly intelligence. Prudence versus imprudence. 5, submitting to divine mentorship versus being self-conceited. Submitting to the divine mentorship, that is the righteousness. 6, generosity versus stinginess. Generosity but in righteousness. 7, legitimate adventure versus illegitimate adventure. Working, having our job, legal jobs, illegal job, criminality, making money by criminal way and making money by legitimate way. Making money by legitimate way is the righteousness. So 8, believing in God's sufficiency versus believing in self-sufficiency. Can we really provide everything we need in life? Should we depend on ourselves alone without depending on God? Like many people say they don't believe in God, but it has always been God. It is wise, but they are just still living by the mercy of God, whether they understand it or not. So I have just given us the central clue on this because there are 40 chapters. If I continue to it will be as if I'm teaching on the book. So that is not the case now. When I want to begin to teach on those books, it will be a different thing altogether. So setting the goals. Then setting the goals, you must set the chapters, outline the chapters until the end. Then inside of the end you begin to find, like in evangelical writing, I will find Bible quotations to match up with each of the chapter, the memory verse. Then under the subsections, I will also find Bible quotations. I will outline I will outline the subsections from each chapter. After outlining the subsections, then I'll begin to write. I'll begin to write. I will start from chapter 1, writing, even if it is 10 pages, depending on how you have the time a day. Even if it is only 2 pages, or sometimes time may not even permit you. If you work, if you don't have that time, then you will know that little by little what matters is consistency, commitment. And when I begin to write any book, any day that I do not go to work or whatever, I would always commit that entire day. I will always commit inside of 24 hours. Sometimes I may even commit up to 16 hours writing. So you must have your goal. Must have your goal. You continue that you have set a goal. That writing has become your goal with your spare time or whatever you've been committed. So and in this case also, I want to advise that you must be focused. One of the things that makes some people will start, like some of the few pastors who have met with me and began to ask me how, I tell them where the problem, some of the problems is because they are not focused. Some people will start writing a book and that time they will want to do a different thing, and that time they will, before you know it, they will commit themselves into 3, 4, 5 different things. I will never concentrate on one. So in this case, you must to concentrate on particular one. Like when I began to write this book, it doesn't matter any other topic, it doesn't matter anything that will be trending. I will use my time, I will use my energy to focus on writing this book continuously as much as I have the time. It may not be every day, but as much as I have the time. Sometimes I may have the time to cover what I should be covering 3 hours per day. In a day that I don't work, I may commit 16 hours. That is how. Before you know it, you have completed chapter 1. You go into chapter 2. You must complete it. Just like that. You continue to progress until it is done. Then the seventh one, say committing to constant writing. This is committing to constant. It must be your routine. Writing must become your culture. Writing must become your culture. If not, you cannot complete it. And until you complete it and publish it before it becomes a book. Okay, now I want to talk on how to write a book. The focal context makes the title. Okay, the focal content makes the title. The focal content makes the title. So here I want to teach us on three things. I have made the 7 steps. The focal content makes the title. All these things are watchwords. The focal content makes the title on how to write a book. The focal content makes the title. My focal content, which I have perceived in my mind, and I observe this is where things are going wrong. One of the investments of Jesus Christ is correction. Things have been going wrong in the church everywhere. People do no longer understand and execute righteousness. So, because it is lacking and it needs to be restored, I had to pick that topic and begin to write it. So it becomes the focal content. It forms the topic, understanding and executing righteousness. 2. Major branches of the title from the chapters. Major branches of the titles from the chapter. This understanding and executing righteousness. Major branches of the titles from the chapters. So when you have formed the chapter, each chapter, you continue to expand. One chapter will not contain the same thing with another, but they will be pointing to understanding and executing righteousness, but with different dimension of manifestation, and that require different dimensions of analysis. Like when for example, from the example I've given, when I say um, um, fornication and adultery under chapter 1, sexual immorality versus sexual perfection, fornication and adultery. Fornication, like when you follow the Bible give us a compound word. Bible always give compound word. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Then you go on for some places, you will see where Apostle Paul say we should not commit fornication. And you go somewhere in the Bible, you say a man shall not lie with animal. A man shall not lie with animal. All these things are sexual immorality, but there is no definite vocabulary to express that statement. That is called bestiality. Bestiality, both in theology and the proper English, bestiality. Then I make mention of incest. Incest, INCEST, incest. Sexual relationship between two related people, between two relatives, no matter how they relate. So it is evil, and the two relatives will not marry according to God's standard. Some people will say it is people's culture. I'm not teaching about that. It is because the people have not really understand and execute righteousness. So that does not, their culture does not make it right. So here we continue to go. So major branches of the title form the chapters. Major branches of the title form the chapters. Then 3 major branches of the title, they form the chapter. This one sexual immorality, the other one humility, the other one so. Major branches of the title, of the book title, form the chapters. Then 3 sub branches in the chapters form the sections of the chapters I have explained in that chapter 1. At least I made mention of the sections. I made mention that the sub branches of the chapter, the book title, then the chapters are subordinate to the book title. The chapter titles are chapter topics are subordinate to the book title. The book title is the universal title. The chapter titles is the chapters the chapter's topic. Under the chapter we have sections. We have sections. So the subsections, the sub branches or subsections in the chapters form the section of each chapter. They form the sections, the sub branches, because the chapter will have branches. It can be 2 branches, 3, 4, more, at least minimum of 2. So that is how it goes for those who will become authors. I have given us the fundamental steps, principles to becoming an author. So in the future, anytime I'll be lecturing on this video is now around 56 minutes. So I will conclude to say it is a 1 hour video. I'll conclude to say it's a 1 hour video. So in the future, anytime, any day, I will use this video. I'm recording it so that it will facilitate my moves, because there are some teachings that will not demand me just beginning to talk from what I know. They should be well arranged, documented. All those things I have to say, they have been already documented. So what I will be doing is to be throwing more light. So when I will be educating on this kind of issue, it will not be just one lecture. If I have to lecture, I may say today my mentees, those I'll be lecturing, they will just go use one day to listen to the video. So this video is already a lecture. They will use one day to lecture, to listen to the video, and they will listen to the video fully. That should be the first day of the lecture on this topic. Then the second day will be interactive section, and I don't have to record that because I don't know the questions that may be coming out. So I don't have to record that. So because of the questions that will be coming out and my responses, that is the reason for the second section. But this one now has formed the major lecture for that seminar. It's a documented lecture. So as I've told you, this 1 hour video now is a chapter. If I want to write a book on how to become, or the cost of becoming, I have made a video on the cost of becoming where I explain it little by little. So if I have to be educating on how to become an author, how to become a born-again Christian, how to become this, before you know it, I'll form 20 chapters on the topic of how to become. Putting them together, I will form a book. Yeah, you get it. Remain blessed. I remain your serviceable servant, evangelist Inima Carlo. So, as I promise you, those in my private subscribers, so it is not only about you giving me money. I need the money, quite all right, but I'll be providing something that will be making you happy. I promise that, and by the grace of God, I'll be doing that.